The Compliance Life details the journey to and in the role of a Chief Compliance Officer. How does one come to sit in the CCO chair? What are some of the skills a CCO needs to successfully navigate the compliance waters in any company? What are some of the top challenges CCOs have faced, and how did they meet them? These questions and many others will be explored in this new podcast series. The Compliance Life is hosted by Tom Fox, and each month he'll present the story of one CCO through 4 episodes. The Compliance Life is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
This is Tom Fox, and welcome to the December edition of the Compliance Life. In this month's edition, I visit with Kim Yapchai. Kim is the Chief Compliance and Chief Sustainability Officer at Tenneco. She's had a very distinguished career in compliance, but it didn't start out in compliance. We explore her undergraduate degree in economics and how that led to her going to law school, but becoming a business person with a law degree. We talk about her path to the CCO chair as an in-house counsel and what she learned as a business lawyer and was able to apply that in compliance in a preventative law perspective. We consider her roles at Whirlpool and Tenneco as Chief Compliance Officers, some of the challenges she's faced, and some of the successes she's had at both corporations. We conclude with her new role, in addition to being Chief Compliance Officer at Tenneco, as the Chief Sustainability Officer, and how that role helps her to have a broader risk management portfolio and use risk in a strategic way, both from the compliance perspective and the sustainability perspective. It's a fascinating series of interviews over the month of December. I know you will enjoy them all. Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox, back again with Kim Yapchai, the Chief Compliance and Sustainability Officer at Tenneco, for our final episode in this month's The Compliance Life. Kim, first of all, welcome back.
Thanks, Tom. Good to be here.
Kim, at the end of the last episode, we had just touched on your move to Tenneco as a Chief Compliance Officer. I was wondering if you could talk about some of the challenges that you saw and were able to overcome at Tenneco in your role as the Chief Compliance Officer.
Certainly. So Tenneco had some similarities with Whirlpool, that really strong foundational program, right, when I was joining, and trying to, again, take it to the next level. In addition, we had a significant acquisition that doubled the size of the company to $17 billion. So while I thought I was going to a smaller company, I ended up at the same size as Whirlpool. But really, one of the things that's been wonderful at Tenneco is the C-suite support. And we've actually achieved, probably in a little over 2 years, what it took me 4 years to do at Whirlpool.
The other thing that I really am intrigued with and want to explore with you is you also have the title of Chief Sustainability Officer at Tenneco. You're the first CCO I've met who either went to that role or had that role added to the CCO role. And I was wondering if you could just explain to us what that is and how your experiences as not only an in-house counsel and CCO led to this new role and what it might mean going forward.
Sure. So sustainability is a new area for me, and I am certainly learning and trying to just be a sponge nowadays. When I came to Tenneco and I did my first assessment, the CEO stated that he wanted to be part of, consider applying for world's most ethical companies. So, I took a look around, assessed the program, and I said, okay, well, no problem. I know what we need to build to get that. However, that's not our biggest gap. Our biggest gap is sustainability. We're a company that's over 100 years old, and we've never published a sustainability report. And so then he asked me to do it.
For our audience who does not know Tenneco, could you describe the business of Tenneco?
Sure. We're an automotive component manufacturer, and we obviously design and manufacture parts that go in your cars, everything from your piston rings and champion spark plugs that you might have heard of, to exhaust, to shocks and struts, so and beyond that. So a lot of pieces and parts in the car.
So I find the automotive industry's role in sustainability really as a leading role, and that comes from somebody who's practiced in Houston, Texas, in energy all his life. But I
hmm
was wondering, what are some of the sustainability goals that you have identified or are working towards for Tenneco?
Yeah. So probably one of our most important ones is how our products perform. We actually have a business unit that's called Clean Air, and it wraps the catalytic converters, right, and your exhaust system. There are also, obviously, those things are cleaning the air, sometimes making the air that exits the car, probably cleaner than when it entered the car. In addition, there are things that we can do in the engine itself to increase performance or change the heat and the things that are going out in the exhaust, which then affect emissions as well. So that's probably the number one part, is how our products perform.
In a recent op-ed piece by the Houston Chronicle business writer, he talked about sustainability in the energy industry, but he had a really salient point, which was as important as tone at the top is when it comes to sustainability, it has to go far beyond there. You have to have buy-in all the way down. You have to have ops buy-in. You have to have BD buy-in. You have to have the in-house, the corporate office staff buy-in. And I thought that was a really interesting. I was wondering if you could talk about that part of sustainability.
Certainly, I agree. Sustainability now, and you've heard it throughout the years, right? Corporate responsibility, sustainability, and now the more popular phrase is ESG, environmental, social, and governance. It's very comprehensive. It includes everything from the investor point of view to what's your board composition, to the environmental impact of your operations, right? We talked about products as well. It is very holistic, and it requires a lot of the same skills as we use in compliance.
This has been something that has been embraced by the company, and really see this as a way to not only continue the reputation of Tenneco, but take you guys into the 2030s and beyond?
Absolutely. One of Tenneco's values is make tomorrow better. So sustainability is a perfect fit with that value. And we really see sustainability as operational excellence, right? If you're using less fuel and having less impact in your operations, you're operating more efficiently. And we also want to be a place where people want to invest their money, and investors aren't looking at just your financial performance anymore. They want to know what's your brand, getting back to reputation, as we talked about before. And they also understand that companies who embrace this holistic manner, they perform better.
Kim, do you see the Chief Sustainability Officer role as complementary to the CCO role, or is something that 5 or 10 years from now, there may not be a CCO, it may be sustainability or something similar to that?
Good question. I think it's hard to predict right now. Sustainability is a very dynamic area that's continuing to evolve. So I think while there is a natural fit, they are both really big jobs and not possible to do without the cross-functional collaboration and team support that we talked about before.
One of my observations about the coronavirus health crisis has been the speed at which change has come, and things that may have been percolating around in 2017, 2018, 2019 are now moving at much greater speeds. And it sounds like sustainability might be one of those for Tenneco, that it's really accelerated the process that you are going through. Would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah, I think it is a fair assessment. And I think COVID has given us a chance to really try to figure out how are things going to work in the future, right? We've broken the mold, and you have to design differently. And we're taking the opportunity to do that.
I was trying to articulate a question about the CCO role and Chief Sustainability Officers. And what I was really trying to focus on is do those roles both involve the assessment and management of strategic risk? And by having both of those roles yourself, are you able to really kind of go back and forth and get a much more strategic vision of not only where the company's going, but how you can help manage risk that you see at this point?
There is overlap, absolutely. You are looking at risk from both perspectives, and I think that made it easier for me to step into this role than perhaps somebody who came from a different function. I really like the enterprise view, right? And frankly, the impact that you can have on the enterprise in both roles. You can really change how the company is viewed.
And maybe to take that a step further, this management of strategic risk, is that where you see the CCO role going? I didn't mean to suggest that there would be some soon, but it seems to me companies are really seeing a much broader vision now around strategic risk from a variety of angles, and that sometimes it's the chief compliance officer that's called upon to manage that. But at Tenneco, you have one person with two hats doing that.
Well, and actually internal audit plays a very big role in enterprise risk management at Tenneco as well. So I don't want to claim that I'm wearing the only hat here. And I think, again, it's that collaboration that makes it work. I think anybody who's trying to function as a silo, themselves in terms of risk management, again, it's way too hard. You need a team to be able to do this. And I think that's risk management is another area, not only in my career that I've seen it evolve, right, to and how it's evaluated and assessed and how you build plans to address it. I think it'll continue to evolve going forward. And these areas, internal audit, sustainability, and compliance, are going to continue to have to work.
Kim, unfortunately, we are at the end of our time for this episode. I really wanted to thank you for this series. It's been great. You've had a fascinating journey, and I look forward to maybe calling upon you in the future again at some point.
Thanks, Tom. And I hope if there's one thing that people learned is you get to define your program yourself. Don't feel constrained. Try new things. Look to the future. Be dynamic and have fun along the way.
This is Tom Fox again. Thank you for joining me for this episode of The Compliance Life. This concludes our December series on The Compliance Life. I hope you will join us again in January, where I visit with Dan Chapman. Also, we have a new podcast on the Compliance Podcast Network, The Wirecard Saga, where I'm taking a deep dive weekly into Wirecard with Kyle Gordon Ryder of Affiliated Monitors. Finally, on 31 Days to a More Effective Compliance Program, this month's topic is training and communications. Check out all these podcasts on the Compliance Podcast Network.